Okay, so as we transition from free to play to a more budget build, let's take a look at one of the things that we're going to really need. Um, One of the things that I really suggest people go for, it's going to be kind of a two-part thing of what people should go for. Because, well, let's first look at the ship. Okay, this is the Xindi-Primate Dreadnought, which you will be able to get the low buy store, but I will tell you right now, I highly suggest that you do not buy it from the low buy store. Buy it from the exchange. That amount of low buy that it costs to buy this ship, you get that. It can be better used and served elsewhere. Um, by quite a bit. Good example is last year. They like to put lockbox ships in the low buy store for a week. Last year they put the Inquiry into the low buy store. Very good ship. It was a great way for people to pick up the Inquiry, which is again an amazing ship, and it's the upgrade to the battle cruiser. It has a decent trade. It has a decent console, and it's a great platform. So save your low buy. Don't don't spend low buy on ships. Just buy the ships off the exchange. Save up the credits. Buy some, you know, find a way to get credits. I'm not going to tell you how to get credits because, well, if you know how to get credits, let me know because, man, I could really use a lot. um, Most people just end up throwing money at keys and then selling keys. That's that's what they want you to do, and that's how they're making their money. But it's not efficient. There's definitely better ways to make credits. You definitely take a look at some other videos which will show you how to make more credits. Um, but this ship, so pick the ship up off the exchange. So this is going to be the extender for Beam Overload. A lot of your transition from free to play to budget will be going from um, cannon builds to Beam Overload builds, or you can still definitely cannon builds are still great. You could just do cannon builds for the rest of the game if that's all you want. Um, I know a couple YouTubers who only pretty much only do cannon builds. That's their favorite style build. That's what they go for. Um, I really like beams. I like the theme of of beams. I want to see beams shooting everywhere. Now, don't get me wrong. When I'm in my Defiant, all cannons all the time, right? But I do like that beam look. So we picked this thing up, and we got to obviously level it up. Again, your best way to level it up is patrols, Age of Discovery, the ninth rule. Run that on advance, and you should have it leveled up. But let's give you a build. Let's give you something to do. Um, I personally like an AoE build when I'm doing those patrols because everything in there is so squishy. An AoE build is honestly one of the fastest ways to get through your patrols. Um, so these are going to be items that are new for the free to play. You know, as we transition from free to play, we get our reputation gear up. We get some mission rewards. So I'm gonna go through some of these. This is a reputation gear for Terran Task Force. It is required tier 6 because it's the alternate weapon type. So this is a phaser type. Tier 6. This one comes from a mission. Not a very good phaser beam array, but I wanted to have the set piece. Go into the set piece in a moment. A pulse phaser. You pick one up off the exchange for pretty cheap. The reason why I like the pulse phaser is because it has the damage reduction proc, like a disruptor does, and I like the look of it. Dark matter from the Discovery Legends reputation, and we're gonna obviously pair that with the Lorca console. Get the up to 25% crit severity. Plus, the Lorca console is just a very good console. We're going to go with the Discovery Legends 3-piece set. Versus, we could have gone with the fleet. And so I wanted to showcase this because a lot of times we're going to see the fleet on there. But there are instances where this is actually better. And the reason why is because of the 3-piece. So the 3-piece is on your first weapon attack against each target, fires a bolt of electrical damage. It's very decent. It's a decent chunk of damage. And on these AoE builds, it's very good. You're still going to get your whole regeneration, and now you're going to get a little extra damage from that. The Mycel Lightning is actually pretty good. And honestly, we don't need the crit severity or crit chance right now with the deflector because we're just literally doing an AoE build to go through some patrols. Maneuverability is still super important, especially in this thing. This thing is low. I went with some more beam arrays over here. Now this one I went with the obliterating because it has a chance to give you armor pen and shield pen, and again I like the beams look. I went with the prolonged. Now this generally isn't considered a very strong phaser beam array. That's A, why it's in the back, but B, on like very long fights, which we did an elite patrol, and you'll see that at the end of the video. There's definitely enemies there that took a while to kill. So having this ramp up, it's not that bad. It's actually rather decent. You do not need a pulse phaser beam Omni here. You can use the basic crafted Omni. In fact, that's what I would suggest. The only reason why I'm using this is I don't have the crafted Omni because this one. But we're also, if you notice, we're going with a bunch of different procs. I like rainbow beam builds. And that's just me. You know, everybody's a little different, but I like rainbow beam builds, so I went with that. And then went with the Trithium Enhanced for the fire cycle pace speed. Anyway, so these you can kind of put whatever you want here. I went with some movement, some armor, the bonus energy damage. This you can get from a mission. It's not in your episodes. It's going to be specters inside. Go to like available missions. It'll be like this series. I think it's like Skirmish or something like that. These you get from a patrol. These you get from a mission. And then once you do it, you can craft them. These you can craft when you hit level 15 beams. This you get from the Phoenix prize box. Granted, is this really that great? No, like it's definitely dated, but at the same point, it does repair your disabled system. So if something gets knocked off, boom, you can back. So it didn't matter what I put here. I just put something here. I was like, okay, it's got tractor beams and beam overload. We'll put it there. Technically, it probably could go with the Valkyrie fighters. I just didn't have any upgraded ones. You could go with probably my favorite fighters, but Reason why I like these fighters is I run SAD on my carrier builds and have shown to be very, very strong under SAD with the fact that it's got a pulse cannon and a beam array, which means it can fire at will and scatter volley when you use SAD. But not that important here. None of these other ones seemed all that super important. So I just throw on these shuttles because whatever. Just use whatever hanger pet you want. Use the ones that come with it too. It don't matter. So we're using the Lorca console for the 2-piece. This comes from the Omega Task Force. It's just crit chance, crit severity, some power settings. We'll come back to this one. The M6 computer. So if you don't have a DPRM, which is quite an expensive tool, especially for Federation, this is decent. You can pick this up for dilithium off of like the temporal escort. It's decent. Bonus damage, cooldown reduction, firing haste, and defense. And accuracy. Honestly, accuracy isn't that bad if you're using Fire Will, which we are. So it's not a bad little device. This comes from a mission, and it's a part of the 2-piece with these shield draining beam arrays. Phaser damage, auxiliary power, and the other one we don't care about. The automatically removes auxiliary power or disabling conditions is bad, but again, nothing we care about there. Mainly phaser damage and the 2-piece. So let's take a look at the 2-piece. Is more accuracy and doubles the shield drain on this. So if we look here, it is, there we go, 2.5% chance to drain 7k from enemy shields and restore your shields. Again, not that big of a deal, but it's gotta have something, and it's decent for now. So you can get into more expensive stuff. It's not too bad. Going with the reinforcing, gives us a good power transfer rate, which we really need when we're doing, you know, beam builds like this. Gives us hull capacity, hull restoration, and it has the 2-piece with our Omni. 2-piece is more fire haste and a little bit of flight speed. Not too bad. Obviously, hull image refractors paired with the colony consoles to give us that temporary hit points and to give us a little extra damage too. Going with this hostile acquisition, mainly because I didn't really have anything else to put here. Granted, yeah, I could have, you know, thrown on DPRMs or dominoes or, you know, all those great one, you know, and immolating phaser lines, but obviously we're keeping it budget. So, you know, it's decent. You can pick it up off the exchange. It's pretty cheap. Did go with the Voldemort console. Again, survivability. Very, very good survivability console. This will probably be on most of my budget builds. And free-to-play builds because it's just that good and it's fairly cheap to pick up. So let's go take a look at this again. This comes off of C-Store ship. What it does is mainly it's the power weapon cost passive, and the hull healing is really good. Obviously, any kind of hull healing increases your consoles, but it does have a clicking. For 8 seconds, 30% more damage, and tons of energy haste and unkillable. So if you're about to die, click it. Save your butt. Downside, after 8 seconds, weapons offline, you go stealth, and you regenerate some shields and hull. It's not that bad. It's honestly not that bad. Like, granted, for like DPS runs, it's terrible. 8 seconds is horrible. Of not being able to do anything. Having weapons offline. But honestly, for what we're doing at this level, this is a get out of jail free card. Um, it is a excellent console. I believe it comes off of. Let's see if we can find where it comes off. Leviticus protocols. Yep. So it comes off of the Da Vinci Escort. It is definitely a very good console, especially for budget builds and being able to be like, hey, I'm in trouble here. So, this is this. Let's go ahead and take a look at our rates. We got our three big ones. Three that that we had to go spend money on. Are always going to use on every build, no matter what. We do have the last ditch for some survivability. Using contents for kings for some more survivability. And some armor plating for more survivability. Key to this one is when you're doing fire at will, you kind of want the survivability. Gel for more survivability. A little extra beam damage. More hit points. Okay, so let's take a look here. So this is the one that we've got first. This is the one that we all love and know and need. This is the one off of the Hydra. Perfect. Leave this one you can pick up off the exchange. And then Calm Before the Storm, Unified Engineering, those are all C-Store ships also. Let's take a look here. Obviously, weapon power costs, great. We got some fighters, some runabouts, so 30% more bonus damage. Cat bonus damage, so pretty decent. It is what it is, but hey, damage is damage, right? I went with this onboard the lithium. It adds 10 power per second to one of my subsystems. And then when you get 10% bonus damage whenever these are above. So honestly, just as you're in combat, these are ticking up, and then boom, you get a bunch of bonus damage. It works out. Is it meta? No. But we're budget, It's something we can buy off the exchange and it's decent. This comes from a C-Store ship. Pretty much whenever you activate structural or auxiliary power to structural integrity, you're going to get some bonuses here. I mean, it's all nice bonuses, hull regen, hull capacity, and a little bit of movement speed. It's fine. Calm Before the Storm comes off of one of the Cardassian ships, the Cardassian flight deck carrier, which is an amazing ship. Pretty much while in combat, every 2 seconds you can calm, which gives you some damage reduction or damage resistance. And then once you get 10 stacks of it, all of a sudden you get a bunch of fire cycle haste, which is great. And then it just repeats. It's very good. So we're using fire at will, so we need an extender. We have two choices here for an extender. Could go reflecting arrays. Once per second while beam fire will is active, receiving any damage grant couple 0.0 seconds of duration to fire will, maximum 50 seconds. So yeah, this, as long as you're getting constantly hit, you could probably get 3 to 4 seconds out of this, which would pretty much give you permanent uptime on fire will. This is more of a tank one. I mean, we have the survivability to do it, and since we generally play solo, this is a decent option. But I kind of like the intertwined tactical matrices better. What this does is every time I hit my fire will, now I can't do it here, it's not in combat, but I hit fire will, I get a free torp shred. Great. When fire will is done, and I can now click torp shred, and click torp shred, I get a free fire will 1. And then as soon as that fire will 1 goes away, notice this blacks out, so you can't override it, and then that goes on. Now we actually technically have 2 torp shred ones. And then vice versa. So it is a way to, it is a little bit more, what do you call it, babysitty than just, than our Withering Barrage, which just straight up does it. But very good. This comes off the Gagarin, which is also an incredible ship, and probably going to be a ship that we will do a video on. Now let's look at stations. So let's be honest here. The more engineering stations a ship has, the less damage it will do. That's just how this game works. You will get more survivability, but you will sacrifice damage. The more engineering stations a ship has, the less damage it will do. Okay, because if this was science, I could have a whole bunch more uncon procs. That'd be great. In fact, I have no uncon. Probably should have some uncon procs. I should. But we could also add more uncon procs if we wanted to get rid of some things here. Like, we could switch this over to engineering team. Switch this over to emit unstable warp bubble, which would give us another uncon proc. There's lots of things we could do, like with this seat, which is a intel seat. Get 2 uncon procs there. So we could push this out for the auxiliary power for, remember, we'll need it for one of our things. And then we could switch these into 2 uncon procs, and that'd give us 4 uncon procs. Because right now we're not taking advantage of our conventional systems. But we bought it. We're going to put it on for now. But let's take a look at really. So, fire will. Reason why we have cannon scatter volley here is because it will also proc a torpedo threat. So, might as well have it. Plus, you notice here. Let's take a look here. Notice we got some temporary hit points. Our 3 consoles here, which activate on energy firing mode. So that gives a 75% chance, and then another 75% chance. So each one of those chances gives us a chance to get temporary hit points. So even though we have no cannons, it's perfectly okay to have cannon scatter volley here to allow the chance for the temporary hit points from our colony console. Chemosite laced weapons with torpedo spread and the dark matter. Good. I went with an attack pattern beta just to debuff enemies, especially when you're doing fire will. You're hitting kind of everybody, so this is a great way to debuff everybody. In this build, I went with a little bit of survivability here, and then our emergency power to weapons, and an emergency power to shields, and just a lot of survivability. Definitely probably could have made this a tank build instead. But our main goal was to try to just get this leveled up real quick, and to be able to level it up, and show that it can handle things. Like, we're gonna show you an elite TFO, and it did fine in the TFO. Never died. Definitely took longer. Highly don't recommend doing or not elite TFOs, elite patrols. Just do, advance and get them done with. I just forgot that I was on elite, so we did an elite. But it worked out great. We got the trait. Now we can move on. Like, you can throw this in your dry dock. Don't delete it, because if you delete it, you don't get it back. But throw it in your dry dock, and then bust out once in a while. But most importantly, want to get that beam overload duration. That is the most important, because a lot of our builds coming forward are going to be beam overload builds. A lot of budget builds are going to be beam overload. The next extension trait after that we want to work towards is surgical strikes. The most expensive upgrade trait, because it's on a legendary ship and it's going to cost $70 something. A lot of people aren't going to go for that, and that's fine. Perfectly okay. But I still want to cover it, because that's the bridge between, budget toward, going from budget to going towards what I would call standard. Other people would not call that standard. Other people would be like, that's crazy. Spending $70 on a ship is a lot of money. But your next step out of budget is non-budget. That is the transition you're looking at. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at the TFO. Or not TFO, why do I keep saying TFO? The patrol. And you'll see how we kind of did. I will probably... You might want to speed it up. I'll debate if I'm going to speed it up or not, or just leave it raw. It did take a while. Okay. See you in a bit.
in simulation. Excellent work. We'll analyze the data from this event and use it to build a new tactical defense protocol for Jupiter.